Now that we have learned how to use shapes and learned how to use them in the layers palette, moving them around, and use the move tool to move them around your screen, we can now do some other things. So if we over here really quickly draw a quick little shape. Now, once we have the shape, maybe we decide that this is not exactly where we want it to be. We want to move it someplace else. We can absolutely do that. So now we can move them around our screen, but maybe perhaps you want to resize it. So if you want to resize it, you have to go up here to show transform controls, and once you check that, it'll stay that way until you turn it off. You can then bring your cursor to the edge and resize it, pressing shift if you want to make it a perfect resize and do it proportionately. You can put your cursor towards the outer edge of your shape and rotate it as well. But one thing you want to pay attention to is right up here at the top of your screen. When you transform something or rotate it or resize it, you're going to get a no smoking sign and a check mark. Now Photoshop wants to know, did you apply your changes or do you not want to apply your changes? Normally you're probably going to want to, so you can either press return on your keyboard or you can hit that check mark. And then it will allow you to move any further along. Now perhaps you have this shape and you want to change the opacity of it. Well, over here on your layers palette on the right hand side we have opacity. So you can put your cursor right on top of the word opacity and drag to the left, and notice that it's becoming more and more transparent as you drag. You can always set it back to 100%. Now from here, maybe now we have our shape layer. We know it's a shape layer because of that little particular icon. Now maybe you want to make a new blank layer. So right down here next to the trash can it says create a new layer. This will give you a blank layer, and you can double click on it to change the name. Notice you get a checkerboard, which indicates that it's transparent. It also tells you that it is a pixel layer, or what I would call an image layer. Now here what we can do is we can use our brush to start drawing on any document. You can use it to draw, you can use it to make changes to documents, to brush effects on, or to erase them off. So when you choose your brush, at the top of your screen up here you get a brush menu. Now we have size and we have hardness. So size will adjust how big or how small your brush is. Now you can also adjust the size by pressing the bracket keys on your keyboard at school, which is right next to the P. At home it may be someplace else, but it's just the bracket keys. We also have hardness. Now this icon, or this little circle right here, looks kind of fuzzy. This is what we would call a soft brush. That means it's going to give you more of an airbrush-like quality. And let's just take a look and see what that looks like. I'm just going to make on our blank layer, I'm just going to make a quick line. See how it gives you that airbrush quality, very soft on the outsides? Now we also have this other brush next to it, which says a hard round. Notice the hardness turns to 100% compared with 0 for the soft one we just used. And let's go ahead and draw that now and see the difference. Now you can easily see that we have a nice hard crisp edge as opposed to this soft one. So the difference is, if I say get a fuzzy soft brush, you would get a brush that has 0% hardness. Now you can use it, in between there. That's possible as well. But for our purposes, we're either probably going to be using a 0% hardness brush, a soft fuzzy one, or a 100% hard edge brush. You'll also notice down here we have other options if you're using the tablets at school. Any of these brushes that have a picture of what an actual brush tip would look like will allow you to use pen pressure with the pen at school. If you have one at home, those should do the same thing. So you can use any brushes down here that you wish. Eventually I'm going to show you how to download brushes as well. We also have, remember we used in class, we have the leaf brush. Remember, that's a scatter brush. If you're using something like the grass brush, you would want to change both your foreground and background colors to avoid having kind of a strange color going on, like white, if you had the white in the background. So we could change that to another green, and then you see that that white would go away. So this again is another scatter brush, and you would want to change the color of your brush down here on your background foreground menu, or your options down there. From here, we also have our eraser tool, which is 3 icons down from the brush, and this works the exact same way that your brush tool does. Notice we get a brush menu, we get hardness, we get size. So if we wanted to erase that, oops, my opacity is set down too far, we can erase something as well. Remember, opacity just has to do with transparency. Okay, so that's the brush tool. Now again, when you're working, you're also going to want to play around with your history palette over here. Remember, it will allow you to go back as many times as you wish. The history palette records every click that you make, so if you want to go back 50 clicks, you can absolutely do that. To undo at least one thing, you could press Command Z as well. That's an option for you as well. So that's it for now. That we have taken a look at the brush tool and how it works and how you can play around with it. So, see you in the next tutorial.